Okay, so good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Perspective 360 degree. And first, please confirm if I'm audible to you or not. Good evening, Pratul. Good evening, Shubham. Please confirm if I'm audible or not. Write it in the chat box. Am I audible to everyone? Okay, thank you so much for the confirmation. So, hello everyone, welcome to another insightful session of Perspective 360 degree where we do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. So, if you are somebody who is preparing for exams like RBI, NABARD, etc., then this initiative is definitely going to help you with answer writing practice for the descriptive paper of phase 2. So, let us begin with the session. Good evening to everyone. Mehak, Tarun, Prachi, good evening. So today we are going to talk about Financial Stability Report 2024 to 2025. I'm not going to cover all the details regarding Financial Stability Report because this session is very much oriented towards the descriptive answer writing practice with respect to the Financial Stability Report. So this is the part 1 of this video. In the part 2, we are going to cover other dimensions also. Fine. And if you want to see the detailed analysis of this report, you can watch the video on our channel that has been taken by Kritika ma'am, and that will give you the full analysis. But here we are going to talk about the descriptive writing perspective only. I hope it is clear to you. So this is the Financial Stability Report June 2024 that we are going to talk about. And if you are somebody who is new to this Perspective 360 degree initiative, then let me tell you that here firstly we give you an expected question, and we are going to discuss this expected question as a part of this session. And once this session is done, you have to write the answer of this question in the comment box that will be evaluated by our team within 48 hours. So today is Wednesday, so you have to submit your answer before Friday 5 p.m. if you want it to get evaluated. Fine. So let us see the expected question for today with respect to this topic, which is what are the major highlights of the 2024 Financial Stability Report concerning the Indian financial system and economy. So the question is very much straightforward. It is asking about the different highlights with respect to the Financial Stability Report, and this is the most important keyword, and I would say the only keyword with respect to this question. Another major keyword that you need to remember is that it is asking about with respect to Indian financial system, not as far as the global perspective is concerned. So it is very specifically asking about the Indian financial system. So you have to write your answer in a very precise manner, keeping in mind the Indian conditions. Fine. I hope it is clear to you. Titanium, I'm going to address your question at the end of this session. I will address your each and every doubt, but at the end of this session. I hope it is fair enough. So now you have understood the question that it is asking about the major highlights, but in context of Indian financial system. So we are going to talk about it, but before we start the answer of this question, let me just give you a brief highlight regarding the answer blueprint, where you will have to write your answer by dividing it into a proper introduction, body, and the conclusion. The introduction should be around 10 to 12% of the total word limit, and the same rule applies to the conclusion also. And rest of the word limit, which of course you have to dedicate it to the body part, where you will write your body in the form of different headings and subheadings, and under the headings and subheadings you will write your relevant points that you will try to substantiate with the help of relevant data, facts, or examples. So I hope it is clear to you how you are going to present your answer in the comment box and also in your examination. Fine. Now let us break down the question, which I've already done it for you. We are going to talk about the major highlights by breaking down the answer in the form of introduction, the body, and lastly the conclusion. So firstly, we are going to understand how we can write the introduction of this answer, because the question is asking directly regarding the report, the 2024 financial stability report. So it would be a good idea if we talk about the report only in context of our introduction. So let us see what we can write in our introduction. So the 2024 financial stability report provides a comprehensive assessment of the health and stability of the Indian financial system and economy. Fine. So we are giving a brief background with respect to the question in the introduction itself. Then what we can write, this report published by RBI, it is published by Reserve Bank of India, delves into various macroeconomic and financial factors influencing the country's financial landscape. And then furthermore, the report delves into emerging challenges including cyber risks, geopolitical tensions, and impacts of climate change, while outlining the regulatory measures undertaken to strengthen financial stability and resilience. So what we are talking about, firstly we are giving the introduction with respect to the background of the report. Then we have talked about who publishes this report and what the reports deals with, and lastly the emerging challenges. What we have given a brief snapshot of our answer, because these are the things that we are eventually going to talk in our body part also. So in the introduction we have given a snapshot of our answer, and slowly and gradually we will keep on open these threads in our body part where we will talk about it in a detailed manner. Fine. So I hope the introduction is clear to you, pretty much simple and straightforward. So let us move on to the body part where we will see the major highlights of financial stability report 2024. So the first point is regarding the economic growth and inflation as highlighted as a part of the report. So when we talk about the economic growth and inflation, so the report mentions that the real GDP, I hope you know the difference between real GDP and the nominal GDP. Real GDP, which is adjusted for inflation, whereas in case of nominal GDP, the inflation is included. So real GDP, the Indian economy exhibited robust growth, with real GDP increasing to 8.2% in 2023 to 2024 from 7% in the previous year. So if we talk about the previous year, that is 2023 to 2024, then on an average our GDP was around 7%. But now what has happened? It has reached to 8.2%. And this growth was supported because of what? Because of the strong domestic demand, government expenditure, and improved business optimism. This point you can see as a part of this chart also. In this chart, what you can see, firstly we have this blue highlighted chart. I mean, are you able to see the chart or not? Do you want me to zoom it? Do you want me to zoom the chart, or is it visible to everyone? Okay, I will zoom it for you. Wait a second. I'm doing it for the first time. Let us see how it works. Fine. I think now it is visible to everyone. Yeah, that's great. So when we talk about this part, if you see this blue portion belongs to the private final consumption expenditure. So private final consumption expenditure refers to the consumption by the households. So as you can say, this is also what the point mentions, that this real GDP growth is because of the strong domestic demand, and this strong domestic demand has been highlighted by this part, private final consumption expenditure. And you can see in the blue part the important role of the private financial consumption expenditure as a part of our GDP. Then what it talks about, it also talks about the government financial consumption expenditure. It means the expenditure that has been done by the government. So all government expenditure for providing the public services, that has been highlighted as the red part. So you can see it has also played very important role with respect to a GDP. And lastly, we have gross fixed capital formation, that is highlighted in the green part. So fixed capital formation means the physical assets that have been created as a part of our economy. So because for example, the infrastructure like road, buildings, all such type of things. So in the green color they have been mentioned, and you can see a major role played by all these factors as a part of our increase in the real GDP growth. Fine. The second point that has been highlighted is the inflation. Now firstly it talks about the headline inflation. So headline inflation basically means the overall CPI inflation excluding the volatile factors, for example the food, and then the fuel, all such type of things which are a part of core inflation. So firstly, we are going to talk about the headline inflation. So headline inflation is to 4.7% in May 2024 from 5.7% in December 2023. So you can see that the trend with respect to headline inflation is that the headline inflation has eventually reduced. But unlike headline inflation, if we talk about the food inflation, then the food inflation remained elevated at 7.9%. So this is because of the different type of complexities, the problems that our agriculture sector is facing, different reasons that I discussed in the RBI annual report also. If you remember those reasons, for example, the climatic factors, for example, El Nino, then other type of agriculture factors that have impacted the growth of the agriculture, and because of the agriculture sector is suffering, and due to that, what has happened, the food prices have increased, so they have remained elevated at 7.9%. So the report also says that the projection of an above normal southwest monsoon is expected to help moderate prices. So what did I tell you, that one of the important factors because of which our agriculture sector has been suffering was the climatic factors, for example the El Nino. But what the report is projecting, do you know southwest monsoon? When we talk, there are two types of monsoon in our country. So southwest monsoon plays very important role when we talk about the agriculture sector, and since the impact of the El Nino is reducing, so it has been projected that the southwest monsoon is going to improve in future, and because of which there can be the better rain and also type of climatic factors which are going to eventually promote the agriculture sector. And when the agriculture sector will be improved, overall the food inflation is also going to come down, the food prices are also going to come down. So that is something that has been highlighted, and you can see this graph also. If I show you this graph, yeah, this one. So here the blue line indicates the CPI, which is the headline inflation. So you can see the graph is also talking about the same thing, that how the CPI inflation has reduced. But if we talk about the red line, which is regarding the food inflation, CPI with respect to food and beverages, you can see that it is very much elevated as compared to the headline inflation. So this is something that has been analyzed as a part of financial stability report, and I hope it is clear to you. And these, I mean, there are other points also mentioned in the reports, but there are many, they are very much minor in nature, and some points talk about the global economy, but I wanted to have a good discussion with respect to the Indian economy. So that's why I have selected these points, and you can use these points if the question comes with respect to this part. Fine, I hope it is clear to you. Now let us move on to the next part. Let me exit it. Okay, here. Fine. So I hope you got a clarity regarding the scenario of real GDP growth and the inflation as mentioned in the financial stability report. Now the next is regarding external sector stability. Now what does the report talks about the external sector stability? So firstly, it talks about the trade deficit. What do you mean by trade deficit? I hope you know that the balance between the exports and the imports, when the imports are more than the exports, it is known as trade deficit in a very simple and plain language. So what do you mean by merchandise trade deficit? Merchandise trade deficit means the trade deficit that is only because of the goods. Wherever you see this word merchandise, remember that it does not include services. Fine, it is only talking about the goods. So what does the report says? The report says that the merchandise trade deficit narrowed to USD 238 billion in 2023 from 264.9 billion. So what does it show? It shows a decreasing trend. So is it a healthy sign or not? The answer is yes, it is a healthy sign. And if you see this graph also, if this graph is visible to you, so if you see this graph or this chart, in this chart you can easily see that this pink portion belongs to the export, and this one is for imports, and the black line that you can see is with respect to a trade deficit. So you can see that how this trade deficit, which is this black line, is narrowing down, especially once you see after the third quarter of 2022-2024. So this has narrowed down. So this is something that we are talking about in our point also, that the trade deficit has narrowed down when we compare it with 2023 to 2024 with respect to the previous year. So as compared to the previous year, it has been narrowed down. Fine. So now let us go to the next point also, which is regarding the current account. So the current account registered a surplus of 0.6% of GDP in quarter 4. So I hope you are aware about what current account is. Current account basically includes two type of things. The first thing is, in current account are the visibles, and the second is the invisibles. So when we talk about the visibles, it means the exports. But in a very simple language, when we talk about the invisibles, it is basically the non-merchandise commodity activities, which include the services. It includes the different type of incomes, for example, the rents, the interest rates, and also the different transfers, for example, the remittances. So all these are the components of the invisible part with respect to the current account. Why I'm telling you that? Because we are going to see these terms in these graphs. So when we talk about the current account registered a surplus of 0.6% of GDP. What does it show? That somewhere our exports have increased as compared to the imports. So because of this exports increase, what has happened? We have witnessed a better trade performance. We have seen a better trade performance that has been highlighted as a part of our surplus of current account. So a better trade performance with respect to that, and this is something that has been highlighted as a part of the report. The second chart that I have attached here is with respect to the net export of services. So as I told you that the services are a part of our current account, so you can see easily that what this graph is highlighting, the services have been increasing. And next, it is also talking about the private transfers. Private transfers basically means the transfers that have been received by the households, for example, the remittances. So if you see this private transfers also, you can see an increasing trend with respect to that. And then if we see the chart with respect to trade deficit and net indivisibles, you can see that how much this trade deficit has reduced with the subsequent years, and net invisibles, which we have seen here also, they have increased. And because of that, our current account deficit has also improved in a cumulative factor. I mean, as a group factor, if we group both these things, because current account deficit includes both trade deficit and the net invisibles. So that is why it has also improved as a part of our GDP. Earlier, it was 4.8% of part of GDP, and now it is 0.7% as a part of GDP. So I hope it is clear to you that what the report talks about regarding the trade deficit and the current account, and this is something that you can mention as a part of your answer, and you can add it to your notes. The next factor is regarding the banking sector soundness. So regarding the banking sector, the report says that for the first point is regarding the asset quality. So what does it talk about asset quality? The scheduled commercial banks showed improved asset quality with gross NPA ratio falling to 2.8% and net NPA ratio to 0.6%. So what does it showing? What do you mean by gross and the net NPA ratio? I have explained this term multiple times, that gross NPA shows the overall NPA that is there, whereas if we talk about the net NPA, it excludes the provisioning part of the NPA from it. So we have seen the reduction in both gross NPA and the net NPA, which is a healthy sign. And the important reason why this asset quality has improved, because of the different resolution mechanism, for example, the insolvency and bankruptcy code, all such type of measures that the government has taken in order to work against the rising NPAs. And because of this, what we have witnessed this reduced NPAs. So the next thing is regarding profitability. So scheduled commercial banks return on assets. So return on assets basically means the assets that the returns that the banks have received as a part of their assets. So that is nothing but the return on asset. It indicates of how profitable a bank is with respect to its total assets. So it defines the profitability of banks with respect to its total assets. So that is the return on assets, which stood at 1.3%, which is a healthy sign and an improvement. And the next thing is return on equity. Return on equity basically means how much profit a bank generates with the money that shareholders have invested in it. So if there is a bank, different shareholders have invested the money, so that indicates the return on equity, which was at 13.8%, and that indicates the strong profitability levels with respect to the banking sector. I hope it is clear to you that how our banking sector have also improved when we talk about the asset quality and also its profitability. The third thing is the capital buffers. So I hope you know about capital buffers with the banks are mandated to keep as a part of our risk weighted assets. So scheduled commercial banks maintain robust capital buffers with a capital to risk weighted assets of 16.8% and a common equity tier 1 ratio of 13.8%. Now what is this common equity tier 1 ratio? It is a, you can say in a very simple language, it is a form of very high quality assets, with which come under the tier 1. And why they are considered high quality? Because it is fully available to cover the losses of the bank. So if the banks want to cover their losses, they can immediately sell these assets, and that's why they are considered as the high quality assets which come under the category of tier 1. So the scheduled commercial banks have maintained robust capital buffers with a capital to risk weighted asset, which is CRAR, of 16.8%, and which is a good sign. And stress test indicated that the scheduled commercial banks could withstand adverse scenarios and maintain a capital levels, which shows that in the future also scheduled commercial banks have the capability to withstand the different type of critical type of situations that may occur in the economy because of the high CRAR that they carry, which is of 16.8%. So I hope it is clear to you. The next point is regarding non-banking and financial companies. So when we talk about the capital adequacy, the CRAR of NBFCs slightly declined to 26.6%. So though it has declined, but even if it has declined, it is still above the regulatory minimum. The regulatory minimum is around 15%. So even if it has declined to 26.6%, it is still more than the regulatory minimum that they are supposed to accumulate. So the NBFCs are also at the safe side when we talk about our economy. So for example, stress testing results show that NBFCs are capable of withstanding credit and liquidity risk. So the different stress testings that have been done, we are going to talk about stress testing in the second part of this video. But for now, you just have to understand that the capital adequacy of the NBFCs, though it has reduced, but it is still above the regulatory minimum. I hope it is clear to you. The next point is regarding household finance. This point I have already discussed with you with respect to the private transfers, because these are the transfers that the household received, for example, the remittances. But the thing is that over the past few years, there is a steady increase in the volume of private transfers in India. So the remittances have increased. So this is something that has been highlighted as a part of the report, and you can easily see that trend in that chart. I hope it is clear to you. The next is regarding the cyber risk. So it has been witnessed that the report has been emphasizing that there has been increase in cyber attacks, not only in our country, but at the global scale also. And the report gives data with respect to the global scale, and you can see this chart also, that how much the number of publicly attributed cyber attacks, how they have increased. And you can also see the share of finance and insurance industry. This red line, if you could see, let me just erase it. Let me zoom it a bit. Fine. So the blue line indicates the number of publicly attributed cyber attacks. So the total number, you can say the total number of cyber attacks on the public assets. But out of that, what is the share of finance and insurance industry? So this is something you can see, and let me zoom it more. You can see it is at the right hand side. So you can see this part of the graph 04812, which indicates the percentage of share of finance and industry, the insurance industry, that has gone through the cyber attack. So you can see the proportion is very large. It has been increasing. See, it has increased. So that's why the report is putting the light on the increasing cyber attacks, and especially as a result of the increase in the digitalization of the financial services and all such type of factors, because of which the cyber attacks have been increasing. But the report did not mention any specific data with respect to India. So that's why what I have done, I have added this data from outside, which has been given by CERTIN. You can write it as a part of your answer. So as per CERTIN, the Indian financial sector faced more than 13 lakhs cyber attacks between January and October 2023, and this translates approximately to 4,400 cyber attacks every day during this period. So this is the important data that has been highlighted by certain, and you can remember this data. You can use it in your multiple answers wherever, if the question is regarding the cyber security or it is regarding banking, you can use this data. So with respect to the increasing cyber attacks with respect to the India. Fine, I hope it is clear to you. The last is regarding geopolitical and climate risk. So the report also says that the geopolitical tensions also impact the economy through different levels, and for this the report has given this chart. Let me show you the chart. Very interesting chart over here. You can easily understand that how geopolitical events have impacted the crude oil, and if the crude oil prices will increase, what is going to happen? It is going to increase the expenses of any country, and that is why I found this chart interesting. It is directly indicating the financial stability of any nation. So you can see, if you can see this purple line, the purple line is regarding the Israel-Hamas conflict that happened very recently, and this chart has been normalized. So it has been normalized to 100. So just understand this after this line, this zero line. So you can see when the Israel-Hamas conflict happened, after that what happened? The oil price got increased for a short period of time. You can notice that just for a short period of time. And but when we talk about this Iraq war that happened way back, in case of Iraq war, the oil price increased drastically. Can you see that? Then in the US 9/11 attack, what happened in this case? Here also moderately the oil prices got increased. But if we talk about Russia-Ukraine war, that happened very recently. In case of Russia-Ukraine war, you can see just after the event, the oil prices have been hiked drastically. So what does this show? This shows that how geopolitical tensions affect the stability of a nation, especially the financial stability, and you can write it as a part of your answer. I mean, you cannot draw this graph, but the point is that you can write it as a part of example, that whenever you will talk about geopolitical tensions, you can write that the recently happened Russia-Ukraine war, how it led to the instability in India because of the rising oil prices and all such type of factors. So this is something that the report has highlighted. Fine. And also because of the climate change, I've already explained you this point, how the climate change has affected, for example, the El Nino and the different type of factors that have hugely impacted the agriculture sector, and also the different type of disasters that impact the country. For example, the floods that keep on happening, floods in Kerala, Assam, all such type of events that impact the financial stability of a country, and it has impacted India also by and now. So I hope it is clear to you all these points, the different type of key highlights. You can write an answer on it by using the information, and that is it for the body part. Now the last part of the answer, which is the conclusion. So how you can write our conclusion very concisely. So FSR, which is Financial Stability Report, helps policymakers, financial institutions and stakeholders understand the underlying strength and vulnerability. So if I've written FSR over here as an abbreviation, so somewhere in the answer, especially in the introduction part, what you can do, firstly you can write financial stability report, and in the bracket you can write FSR, and after that in the rest part of the answer you can write FSR only. That would be fine, but do not write FSR directly in the introduction. Firstly write the full form, in the bracket FSR, then you can use the FSR abbreviation. So what we were talking about, FSR helps very small things, but I mean they make an impact on your answer when the examiner reads it. So FSR helps policymakers, financial institutions and stakeholders understand the underlying strength and vulnerabilities of the financial system. So it is essential to build on the current regulatory foundations, foster innovation and strengthen collaboration among stakeholders to ensure sustained economic growth and stability. The FSR provides a roadmap for these efforts, highlighting the needs for resilience, strategic foresight, and comprehensive risk management in navigating the complexities of the Indian financial landscape, because the question was with respect to India. So we are ending it with Indian financial landscape. I hope the conclusion is clear to you. Pretty much easy to understand that how FSR helped the policymakers and what could be the way forward with respect to it. This is something that we can write as a part of our conclusion in our answer. I hope the picture is clear to you. Lastly, this is the question, the answer of which you have to write in the comment box. 15 marker, 600 words, and write your answer before Friday 5 p.m. if you want it to get evaluated. So that is it for today. I hope the session was helpful for you. Before that, the EduTap blogs that will give you the different insight, tips and alerts with respect to different examinations for which you are preparing. You can go through these blogs written by experts that will definitely help you in your preparation. And lastly, thank you so much and all the best, and maintain the consistency and keep preparing. Now let me see the chat box. Sir, my comment in the last session keeps getting deleted. Till date, I am unable to post my answer. Yes, Titanium, this problem happened with many aspirants and we are trying to find the solution of it. But what you can do, I mean, you can use any other Gmail account in order to write your answer. Some people reported that they are not able to write the answer. Their answer is getting deleted, but we are not deleting it. The YouTube is deleting it. I don't know why. We are trying to find the solution. So that is the only thing that I can say at this point of time. But in the next class, I will talk to the support team and I will let you know what could be the solution of that. So I hope it's okay for now. You can change the Gmail account while writing your answer. Sir, how to remember all this data? The only way to remember it is the revision. And see, sometimes what will happen is that if you are seeing some data with respect to, I mean, I've discussed RBI report also, then financial stability report also. If some data is getting overlapped, for example, here we are talked about the gross NPA. Gross NPA also discussed in the in this RBI report also. So what you can do, you just have to remember any one data with respect to NPA. Do not remember multiple data with respect to the same parameter. Otherwise, it will overburden you. So try to revise it just as much as you can. That is the only key. In the initial days, it becomes difficult for everyone to remember the data. That is normal, not something unique. But what will happen when you will revise it continuously for 1 week? For example, if you wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, just take your data sheet, revise it, then revise it again before sleeping, and maintain this activity for 7 days, and eventually you will see the magic. You will start retaining these things, and keep on revising it maybe after 10 days, after every 7 days, and you will be able to memorize it in a very efficient manner. And that is the only strategy I can suggest at this point of time. Sir, what could be the best strategy to revise descriptive topics? It depends on how much time you have, Pratul. I mean, if the exam you are preparing for, if you have much time, so you can try a couple of questions. I mean, the questions, we have many questions for the sake of revision. What you can do, for a couple of questions, you can try to write answers, and then you can do self evaluation. And for the other questions, I would not suggest you to write each and every question, because that would be an inefficient method. So just go through those parts, descriptive writing answers, and especially the dynamic ones, not the static ones, in case you are revising. Because the thing with static descriptive answer revision is that the static part you have already covered as a part of your syllabus. For example, if we have written an answer on, let us say, inequality, you are naturally going to cover inequality in your static syllabus also. So there is no point of preparing just memorizing a separate descriptive answer on it. What you can do is you can take some information or data that we have covered in our answer and you can add it to your notes. But your main focus should be on revising the current affairs descriptive part. That should be your priority. And after that, if the time is left, you can switch on to the other parts also. So you should do it on the basis of priority. Don't do it in a sequence by sequence manner, the way we have done it. So do it on a priority, and eventually that, I think, that would be the effective way to revise these things. So I hope I have addressed your doubts. Anyone else? Fine. Yes, already. For example, household expenditure consumption survey. So this is a topic which is very much dynamic in nature and important for the exam. So what you can do for such type of questions, you should revise it and try to read it again and again. Take out the key areas. You can adopt multiple strategies. For example, you can just jot down the points, on one page for one answer and try to revise it as much as you can. That would work, I would say. I don't think there is any other effective strategy. So the key is to prioritize your topics. If they are dynamic, do it first, then move on to the static part and revise it multiple times. And that's how it works. You will be able to do it. Just maintain the consistency. Fine. So I hope the session was helpful to you and keep writing answers. Thank you so much and all the best. Now I'm ending the session.